don't want to hear nobody on here with me talking about no Amanda Seals, mother Amanda Seals. And I said that with my chest. The bitch is a gaslighting ass, manipulating ass hoe. And I don't care how smart you think she is. If she was that goddamn smart and intelligent, the bitch wouldn't be on here gaslighting you with us.
This the kind of beat to go, this the kind of beat to go, this the kind of beat to go, rock, top, top.
Welcome back to another episode of the Petty Headquarters. I'm your host, Tiana Locke, and this is
Jessie Strange.
And today we have a very special episode for you. We're going to be talking about Amanda Seals and her interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. It was a very interesting watch. And we're going to basically talk about how we feel about that and do our little analysis like we always do. So yeah, don't mind the way I sound because it is approximately 11:35 p.m. And yeah, we're recording really late and I'm tired. So, and she's tired too, but you know, different strokes for different folks. So with that being said, if you don't know who Amanda Seals is, she is a philanthropist. She is an advocate. She is an entrepreneur. She is an actress. She is a comedian, had her own Netflix special.
Content creator,
has her own podcast, all of that jazz. So, you know, she is pretty influential when it comes to Black spaces and Black voices. So, yes, we are going to talk about her interview with Shannon Sharpe and just dissect little things that we picked up on and take from there.
Share our opinions. Mm-hmm. It went viral. Mm-hmm. You know, it has right now 1.2 million views.
Right.
And I was surprised, first of all, to see Amanda on Hollywood Unlocked, and that's how I saw her because, you know, usually she stays out of the gossip pages, and then that's how I found out that she did an interview with Shannon Sharpe.
Right. Yeah.
So now here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So, you know, the way this interview starts off, it's very interesting because throughout the interview, in the beginning, you kind of see Shannon not really validating or listening to Amanda. It seems like he's kind of dismissing her, but we're going to dive into those deep moments. But before we start, I just want to talk about the personality that Amanda Seals has. So it's interesting that when you see her in a lot of spaces, she does get this like, for some weird reason, people are so quick to say that she's difficult, and that's become her
reputation.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You know, that was the reason why she left The View. You know, a lot of the producers felt that she was difficult or they didn't want her to talk about certain things. And she just said, well, that's not me. I'm going to talk about those things and I'm going to tell the truth, right? She left The View, the real for that. You know, there's a lot of spaces where she was in where she has gotten the reputation of being difficult. And so now here we are with Shannon Sharpe, where she is just here to spill the tea, tell it all, and keep it real like she usually does. So let's just get into this interview with Shannon Sharpe and really, really, really see what's going on. So in the beginning, she starts off, you know, talking about her childhood.
You know, she starts think about it. In the first 5 minutes, we hear one of the first things is she's autistic.
Right.
Which to me is, and let me give you a preface of how I feel about Amanda, right? I kind of already understood Amanda before the interview because I feel like I see Amanda, right? I see people like Amanda. I see people like you because I feel like, you know, Tiana is very similar in that aspect of who Amanda is in crazy ways, which we will get into as we're going deeper into the interview. But I feel like, for one, Amanda's very misunderstood, period, point blank, because she doesn't have a personality that's, and she discusses this in the podcast, as digestible as most people, right? And it's hard energy. So I want y'all to understand that I'm coming into this interview already empathizing, already biased, because I like Amanda. I do. I like her. I respect her. I think she's a very intellectual woman. Now, starting off the first 5 minutes saying that you were autistic was a shocker.
Right.
Right?
Something no one knows. I didn't know. No one knew. I never heard anything about this. And I feel like that kind of like says a lot.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on her saying all that?
My first initial thoughts was just like, wow, like if you are on the spectrum, then that makes a lot of sense why many people may misinterpret, your tone or how you say things, especially if you can't pick up on social cues. Like that's a big factor when it comes to communicating with people. And if, you can't pick up on social cues and someone is clearly giving off the cue and you're not getting it, of course that's going to offend people. So it's like that in itself kind of explains to me kind of explains a lot as to why people really don't understand her, because again, her brain is not the same as someone else's brain.
Yeah, and she talks about it when she was a child. She would do this thing, what they consider in the studies of autism and mental illness as stimming, which is like basically ways to keep yourself stimulated. Listen, I'm not a major over here, but I'm just telling you, this is what she called it, and this is what she said. That she would, and her mom, when they started reading the symptoms, her mom started to say, like, hey, you did these things as a kid.
Right.
Rocking back and forth, just coping with ways to cope and stuff like that. But what was very interesting about this part of the interview, right, is that, Shannon actually presses her, which I was very surprised for someone like Shannon Sharp, who is very, very passive, to question her. But he questioned, at what age were you diagnosed? And
were you clinically diagnosed?
Right. And she couldn't answer that.
Right.
She steered the question in a way where she didn't have to answer that. She said, yes, there is a way to clinically diagnose autism, but that wasn't the question, which I thought was interesting because, first of all, you avoiding the question for a reason, right? So then this caused controversy, which then she addressed today, that she was not clinically diagnosed with autism. She never was. And the only reason why I had even seen this she went live to address it, but the only reason why I saw it was because she went on Instagram and posted about it. So I'm going to show it here. She posted this post. Shannon, but have you been clinically diagnosed? Me. Yes, there's a clinical diagnosis for autism. He then hung his head and exhaled in frustration because I did not answer his question. That is called deflection. Why? Because I was not going to be pressured by this man who was interrogating me with absolutely zero love for me into proving something to him by his line of questioning. He had already committed to undermining. I understand my response may be confusing to some, but I am clarifying it, as I did in my live, and that is enough. So people were giving her backlash for this, right? Because she wasn't clinically diagnosed, and then she went on live and said this.
And he was asking, no, I have not been clinically diagnosed by a doctor because I'm not paying $10,000 to do that. And most people will tell you that at this age, you don't need a clinical diagnosis in that sense. And I think that's the other thing. It's like, we are so conditioned here in this nation to really only consider something in one kind of way. And I will get back to that. They cut out.
I thought this was like really, first of all, let's just digest this for a second. So you weren't clinically diagnosed, yet you're telling me that you have autism. That is like, that's a strong statement.
Right.
Right? There are people who really have this mental illness. And I understand that if you went on Google and if you took these tests, that yes, you may have these experiences. But if we listen to what Google said all the time, I mean, bro, I would have when I had dengue, like I thought I was dying. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Google says we have a lot of things, and if you believe it, it can trick your mind. So I'm just saying that she got upset because people were questioning her as she went online or whatever. The thing is like, first of all, Amanda, I understand that yes, you may have like symptoms that may reflect maybe what autistic people go through. However, it's a clinical diagnosis, right? And in order to get clinically diagnosed, it's not about how today's day and age, at this age, you don't need to be anything because, no. If you're going to be clinically diagnosed, you're going to be clinically diagnosed. And there's only one way to do that, which is the process that all doctors do in order to clinically diagnose you. Now, I don't think it's fair for you to feel offended if people are questioning the validity of what you're saying. Given the time and age where social media can be used as marketing, where everything online, a lot of it is lies, you can't be mad at the people for want proof of your diagnoses when you've publicly made that a known thing to 1.2 million people, and then get mad when you're like, when people are questioning your what you're saying. But it's like, that's the same thing you advocate for. You advocate for individual thinking, yet you're getting mad when people don't just take your word for it. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's a thin line, and I think it's valid criticism, because I feel like, overall throughout the entire interview, she got mad love. And a lot of the comments underneath the interview was dogging Shannon, because they were saying like he didn't have a chance, he didn't have enough information, he wasn't intelligent enough. They were just dogging him. But I just feel like people were so taken by everything else that this kind of went under the rug a little bit. Like, there's not enough criticism on the fact that she's claiming that she's autistic and then hasn't been clinically diagnosed, and then wants to say that it costs $10,000 to run a test for autism. What, girl? Do you have insurance? Because it's like, no, for real though. Like, this is what people are saying, because it's like, if it costs that $10,000 to run tests like that, then either you don't have insurance or your insurance is a scam, because it shouldn't cost that much money. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? But these are just what people saying online.
Well,
I mean,
diagnostic testing is expensive, but I don't know if it's that much. Yeah, I agree. I feel like if that's something that is a factor, if that's something that you think, hey, this may be a thing for you, I think the best thing to do is to get clinically tested and diagnosed and to figure out what's going on. Yeah, I'm not really sure why, but I agree with you. I agree. Like, you can't get upset at the people for wondering or for thinking or having their own individual thought when that's the same thing that you preach.
Right. And she's also the same person that says, her calling was to get masters, right? Because a valid point, by the way, when people try to test you,
right,
they try to discredit you.
Right.
So to get your masters, people literally cannot discredit you because you've done the studies.
And they still are discrediting her.
Which is crazy, right? That's definitely, of course.
Right.
That's what comes with that personality, right? And people in society in general, and they see a woman who's strong and outspoken, whatever. But, right? So it's like, you already know that that's how the world is. It's kind of the same concept. Where's your credentials? Do you have a clinical diagnosis? That'll be a credential towards your claim here. Because anybody can go on Google and say, hey, I experienced these things. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to take away, because you know what? She could very much be autistic. I'm not taking that away at all. I'm just saying that, like, if you're going to come out with that mentality of, hey, I have to back up everything I say. You know how the internet is. You know how the people are in general. You kind of you can't forget that when it comes to other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. But then even when she does back up everything she says, no one cares anyway. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for her. So, I mean, I don't have anything to say in regards to that, because even if she had her credentials, people would still try to discredit her like they always do. They would still try to invalidate her. They would still try to dismiss her. They would still just go on with the same narrative that, you think you're better than everyone, which is essentially the whole. And you can tell that Shannon even went in with that mindset too, because why is it that she's speaking her truth and you are so quick to kind of like press her, but also dismiss her and what she was saying? But you didn't do that with Cat Williams. You didn't do that with Cat Williams at all. And honestly, they kind of share similar attributes. where they're outspoken, where they're going to share their truth.
100%.
You know, they are very similar in regards to that aspect. So I just don't understand. He sat and he listened to Cat Williams, but Amanda, he didn't really listen to her.
And never questioned the fact that he said he read like 100 books in like some
Yeah,
days.
he never questioned it. He
Like,
never
was
questioned anything.
Right.
He honestly didn't question a damn thing when
100%.
it came to Cat Williams.
And a lot of the comments, you know, were saying that too. Like I really dove into the comments on this one because I wanted to see what people were gonna say. Because, you know, this was a very interesting conversation between them two. Their dynamic, very good example of someone who isn't understood but having patience with someone, you know, with the person who can't understand them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I read the comments and there was a lot of people who were saying, you know, it felt like Shannon had came into this interview with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
That he immediately, which, you know, you said something when we talked about it. But you said that he did the same thing to Monique.
Yeah, he did. He did do the same thing to Monique. Like, even when she said, hey, I showed you the recording that I had, so why are you sitting up here and acting like, oh, no, wasn't like that? Like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I don't know. People get mad when you say, oh, when it comes to they get mad when you say that. But look, it's literally happening. It always happens. So what? What do you want? You want me to fucking go out and just be the villain to validate you? Which is literally what fucking Amanda said at some point. She was like, these people have this idea of you and they want to turn you into that person so bad, so fucking bad, so that it can just justify their stupid, idiotic ways of thinking. And, you know, I felt that because it's true. Like, people look at women like her that are outspoken, that are strong, and then it's like, you're black. So it's like, what the fuck do you know? Like, you know, so a lot of people don't want to say that, but that's just really what it is. So, I mean, that's the energy that she gets, and that's the energy that Shannon was giving. And honestly, you know, going back to her talking about the autism and then her being an only child. So I feel like that also has a lot to do with why people kind of like perceive her to be like, damn, bitch, you're kind of rude. Like, I can understand that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So why do you say that? Why do you say that you can see that? How does being an only child relate to, you know, being rude?
Because when you're an only child, you're by yourself. You didn't grow up with siblings like that to understand certain things, how to say certain things or how to share certain things. So it's just different when you grow up by yourself as opposed to other kids that grew up with other kids. You know, it's a different environment already. Even with the parents, it's a different environment. Like, you know, and then on top of that, single mother household, like, it's already very different being an only child, growing up in a single mother household, and then you think you might be on the spectrum. That's a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. So, like, it seems like, right, there is an interesting part where, you know, Amanda had a lot to say about her personal experience, and I feel like I want to really drill this in because a lot of the examples that Amanda had gave throughout the interview, you verbatim have said that to me. Like, the experiences Amanda has behind closed doors, I know this is you. And it's I'm sorry if I'm telling too much of your business, but it blows my mind because I'm telling you, she mentioned this part where she was talking about this email and being direct and needing, you know, whenever something about being direct, and she was doing this email, and then they had asked a yes and no question, and so she answered yes and no. And then they were like, well, you know, you seem like you don't really want the position, so we're going to go with someone else, right? Even though they asked a yes and no question. Now, I feel like you've done the same thing. You have, and I've had to talk you out and tell you, listen, I understand you're absolutely right, but there's just no need for that right now. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I say that you and Amanda are very similar in certain experiences. And
if you ask me what's my availability time and I tell you 3 p.m. on a Friday, don't suggest other times to me. Long story short, that's an example that you're referring to. And like, If you ask me, when are you available? I tell you Fridays after 2 p.m. That should already tell you that's the availability time, right? Don't ask me about Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Listen, you're not wrong, and that's the thing.
But there's also a way to phrase something. If you want to say, hey, are you open? How about Wednesday? Obviously, I'm going to still decline it, right? Because you asked me my availability. You didn't give me your days and ask me what days work for me. You asked me my availability. I told you it's Friday after 2. So why are you asking me about Wednesday? Anyone else, right, looking at that would be like, well, no, I said this day. Obviously, I didn't say Wednesday because I couldn't make Wednesday, right?
She really going in right now.
No, but it's like true. And I feel like that's an example that you're referring to in regards to the yes or no question.
But again,
Side
it doesn't
note,
matter.
This is going to be deleted, but Amanda did that to me.
Sorry to interrupt, but we just started a Patreon, so if you want to hear this story, head on over and subscribe. We will be posting exclusive content on there from personal story times, deleted scenes, requested videos, and more. So tune in, okay? Now back to the episode.
Okay. The details don't matter,
Mhm.
really, because again, it's just the fact that, listen, there's a time and place to react on and to really react, period. That's just one example of their similar experiences. When I tell you to the T, to the I's, to the exact same thing about how, what is it about my energy that makes you feel so small? Anybody that fucking comes around Tiana, who isn't a strong personality ends up feeling small. Like that's just what I've seen. So let's bring it back. There's similar aspects where she's only child and she has a single mom. There's a single mom involved. No father in the picture. I thought that was interesting because she didn't touch on that. And I feel like we've heard all of the experiences in the work environment of Amanda, but Amanda's really good at not talking about her traumas and her experiences in regards not to the work environment, but I'm talking about from home.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way you view life, that starts from home, right?
I'm surprised Shannon didn't ask her.
He wasn't able to. he wouldn't. But my thing is like, do you think the single motherhood also has a part to play in why you and her can relate in those ways? Like, do you think that single motherhood can be contributing to the way she sees certain avenues in life?
I think so. I mean, she even said it herself that she wouldn't be the same had her father been in the picture, right? But like we said, we don't have as much detail to go off on about that because she didn't really say anything about that. She kind of just left it at that. I honestly don't necessarily know if it would be different in regards to her career choices or anything like that. Or I think maybe I think that there will be a difference, but I just really don't know how much of a difference because it really does depend. At the end of the day, we don't know what that looks like.
I feel like Amanda opens up she's very open about her beliefs, her morals, her work environment, the problems she sees in the world. But she's very, at least from my research, very brief research, by the way, she doesn't talk about her family life. And
no.
It reminds me of you because you're very quick to talk about other people. I'm sorry.
Is this about me or is this about Amanda? Like,
because I feel like you're great. Like, it's great to have a good conversation about this. Like,
okay.
You're like, it's like talking to Amanda Jr. over here.
Oh.
Right?
Mini Amanda.
Mini Amanda. But I want to read this comment to you because I want to know your opinion. There was a comment that caught my attention and it said, I don't think she's autistic. I was raised in the same type of household where she said meant and took things literally. I believe it's from being raised in a Caribbean household. My whole church was Caribbean, so I can dig it. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. West Indian households are just very, very, very different households. I feel like, I listen to Small Doses podcast, which is a podcast that she runs and she has. There are certain episodes where she would talk about like certain traumas, but like I said, she wouldn't go too deep onto it. But, she does mention that, you know, her mother's amazing, but they've had, you know, their trials and tribulations, like obviously any parent and child does, right? But you know, I think being in a Caribbean household definitely has a lot to do with it. Especially growing up as a woman, you know, it's not like she's a dude. So it's just you're looking at it from different lens when growing up in a Caribbean household.
Mm-hmm.
I just certain things that are normalized toxic traits and normalized toxic behavior that I feel like a lot of Caribbean people have not unlearned. I think we are on our way, but I can't speak for everybody. But I do think that makes a difference than single parent household, than only child.
Because she talks about this need to wanting to be protected and how she feels like.
What is this, a therapy session? What the fuck? I already had my session earlier. Like,
this
what the fuck
she
is
said.
This?
This is what she said.
Like, bitch.
This is literally.
But, okay, like.
What the fuck? This is literally what she said.
That is why she is the way that she is. Maybe because she didn't feel protected, she feels like she always has to protect herself. So this is why she shows up a certain way, or this is why she feels like she needs to go above and beyond to make other people feel safe, so that they don't misinterpret her tone or misinterpret her delivery because she's heard it, right? Like she said, she does that. And you know, one thing that I do see that there is similarities between us is that, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but she wants to be liked.
Yes.
And that is a similarity between us too. And I kind of hate that, but that is the truth, right? We want to be liked.
And she says it's she wants to be accepted because of her insecurities of being bullied back in the day. Is that the same for you? Were you bullied? What
the fuck is this? Is this about Amanda or is this about me?
It's like, literally what she said.
It's like, were you bullied? Like, because you're the same. Like, girl, like what?
Yo, I'm
the
fucking
fuck are we talking about?
But anyways, all right, fine, fuck it. But anyways, she did say, she talked about projecting her needs of wanting to be protected and then putting that on other people. And a lot of the criticism that she gets is that yes, we understand that you've been through shit, but other people go through shit too. So it's like, why are you? This is what other people are saying. I don't necessarily agree.
Do you think Amanda has victim mentality?
Do I think
Do you think that?
No, I think she's misunderstood.
Okay.
But I
feel like the way people come at her, it's from, oh, you want to be a victim so bad.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. So I wanted to know if you thought the same thing, because I know sometimes you'd be like, oh, you know, victim mentality is not good. So I want to know if you think that.
I feel like there's a for a man, like I feel like I can see how there are moments where we're all human. So of course you can play that victim card when it's unnecessary sometimes. But in general, I feel like Amanda's just misunderstood, right? Like the way she expresses herself is not the normal.
Right.
Anybody who is kind of normal, right, would take her directness as offensive.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And only the strong people who can handle that will not be offended.
But even strong people could be offended too, because imagine if you're dealing with someone and you two are the same, you'll butt heads, because it's like,
I know,
you're looking at each other, but then it's like,
we're looking at each other right now.
You're ugly. You're so ugly.
No, because you were fucking crazy earlier talking about this therapy session.
Yeah, because it's
like, bro, I'm just talking about it.
Yeah, because it feels like you're asking about me more than you should be asking about Amanda.
No, I feel like the same way if we were talking about Mac Miller, how I can put myself in him because I see a lot of similarities. I think it's just
but
fair.
You are okay with doing that. You are okay with being open and vulnerable like that. As for me, I am not. So this is why I feel like you're digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then to me, it's just like, oh, okay, is this about me or is this about Amanda? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I already had my therapy session earlier, 2:00. Anywho, we can continue.
This is how Shannon felt after a while. I empathize with him.
This is not how Shannon felt after
there
a
were
while.
Moments,
because I'm not even acting.
No.
Like,
you heard the sigh? I felt that whenever there was moments where he would just trip on his words and sigh. I felt him. because I understand what it's like to be sitting across someone who is like that. I understand. It's my everyday fucking struggle. So to me, it's like I understand because he's not all that, well spoken, and I'm not all that well spoken. So I get it. So that was what that sigh was just now. Okay, like it's a little bit tiring sometimes.
It's not even the same. So, there was a point in the interview where Amanda is talking about her experience. The whole point of that interview was for Amanda to share her experience. But it felt like when she was sharing her experience, Shannon wanted to interject his experience into it. But then it's like, isn't she here for her to share her experience? Like, why are you interjecting? Like, for example, when she talks about her experience, being a kid in school in Florida and dealing with that teacher, and she shares multiple experiences, and then she was just like, oh, yep, it felt like it was racist. And he was like, well, back in my day, which I understood his input when he was like, kids should stay in a kid's place, right? Don't interfere in the adults' conversation. But then for Amanda, she was just like, well, this teacher clearly doesn't have all of her information, and I'm just correcting information. But of course, any normal person would see that as like, oh, you're trying to challenge me. Like, you're the kid, I'm the adult, stay in your place, right? Which I understood that. But do you think that there were some like racial tendencies there that she had explained on the show?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially growing up deep in the South, and then you're the only Black one in the class. And then there was also an incident where she said that the teacher thought she had stolen something, and she was like, no, I didn't steal. The other girl actually said, hey, it was me. And she was just like, well, you both need to go to the principal's office. So it's like, why does Amanda need to go?
Yeah.
So it's like weird, just very weird. It's very telling that, okay, teacher doesn't like you, kind of has it out for you, and that type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about that interaction? Do you think that racism is a learned behavior in kids?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Anything a kid does starts from home.
Because people like to have the argument that, kids are kids, right? And their brains are not fully developed for them to do these things, which sometimes I have a hard time with that argument because like we were talking about earlier with different mental disorders, not everyone's brain is the same, right? And I don't know. I just feel like, okay, so if a kid killed someone and then they grow up to be a serial killer, what? Kids are kids, right? Because we see that time and time again where serial killers start off by killing little animals, and then it progresses into you're just a serial killer when you're in your adulthood. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, I feel like people, here's the thing. I feel like people confuse intentions with facts, right? So the fact is, whether the kid meant it to be, if they had the full mental capacity to understand what they're saying, doesn't make it any less racist. And I read a comment that I think is going to reflect what I feel a lot better. If she was 10 years old and was able to recognize that the other kids were wrong for calling her the N-word, then the other 10-year-olds should have the capability to understand that them saying the word was wrong, and excuses shouldn't be made for them. And it's true, right? So, okay, we're not all made the same. You were way advanced mentally, and your awareness was advanced at 10 years old. Okay, but not all kids are. But I do feel like when Shannon was interjecting, he was minimizing the facts. Because the fact is, whether the kid meant it or not, he learned it from home. And where you learn that from home, it's racist. It stems from racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it takes away the fact that that was a racist experience. Now, whether there was a 10-year-old that took it as funny because they don't understand, and then there's Amanda who's advanced at 10 years old and could understand, she shouldn't be, her experience shouldn't be dismissed just because she was smarter and more aware at the time, right, and her age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I think he was wrong. And I think everybody sees that he was wrong.
Yeah, and I feel like with that part too, why is a kid knowing anything about that as a kid? So, but that's what I'm saying. We're going back to the learned behavior, but everyone wants to say, oh, kids are kids, but it's like, why are you teaching your kids that? No one wants to talk about that. You want to talk about that kids are kids, oh, it was a mistake, they were kids. Well, why is the parent teaching the kid that? And how does the kid know this language? Like, for example, my little cousin, 8 years old, got called the N-word. Why do you know the N-word at 8 years old?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you know the N-word at 8 years old? That is my question. People are so quick to be like, oh, well, kids are kids. And why does the kid know that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it stems from, that no one ever talks about. People are just like, oh, well, it's not the kid's fault. Okay, then blame the parent. No one wants to talk about that.
Yeah, no one should ever blame the kid, period. I don't care how brutal, ruthless it is. It comes from home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I agree. I agree entirely.
Okay, yeah. I thought his stance on that was just a little, like, I understood what he's saying because I grew up in that household too, because I was told that too as a little kid, like, oh, stay out of grown folks' business, or don't say this or don't say that. And so I understand.
Yeah, there was actually a YouTuber who came out and really doesn't like Amanda, and really she calls her a gaslighter, a manipulator. And I can understand the gaslighter part because, you know, I can see how that type of personality can become a gaslighter. For example, the autism thing, right? Like, we'll just stick to what we know. She claimed autism, right? And then went online and just kind of made, like, I feel like by starting the conversation, well, actually, hold on. Let me rephrase that. I'm going to use the YouTuber's argument, right, is that she's a gaslighter because she used autism in the beginning of the interview to kind of alleviate your thoughts and opinions on her and the things that she had to say, because at the end of the day, hey, she's on a spectrum, but if she was never clinically diagnosed, you're going to tread lighter when someone is on a spectrum than when someone's not. And I thought it was valid criticism. But one thing I thought it was interesting about this YouTuber was that she said that Amanda doesn't represent Black people. Strong ass statement. So I was really taken and I wanted to know more. What is your opinion on that? And she said she doesn't represent Black people of America because if you from the South and you African American, you know damn well, no matter what, kid not aware or not, you don't talk and interject with adults. That's not how we were raised. That we were raised this way. And I was like kind of ticked off by that. What are your thoughts? You seem upset or bothered. She called Amanda middle class, and her having that attitude is privilege.
Well, Amanda does state that she is privileged. It's not like she just omits that about her identity. No, she says that. Like, she was privileged to have an education. She was privileged to have teachers that care. She was privileged to be in an environment where she had resources. She was privileged to have a mother that actually cared too, that took her to her auditions, that said, hey, you're going to be good in this, and that actually cared about her getting an education, even when she wanted to drop out, which she stated in the interview. Yes, she is privileged, right? In her own experience. But to sit there and say like, oh, well, I was raised differently, so okay. And
yeah,
not every Black person is the fucking same. You act like she's like, I don't really know what to say to that. I just feel like, then what Black people or what Black community does that YouTuber represent?
Right.
To say say a statement like that, then what community are you representing? Are you representing the ones that are poor and have EBT? Because what are you representing? Because you're so quick to sit there and talk about Amanda and how privileged she is. Okay, and she still does more work than you. What are you doing? What is this person doing to give back to the community, to be an activist, to be so involved? What is this person doing except for bashing another Black person for actually being, active in the community, active with wanting to gain more knowledge? Like, that's one thing which is why she's so intellectual. She's always wanting to know about so many different things and get better at so many different things. What are you doing except for bashing her? I don't know. And this is why I feel like I say what I say. Like how she said that, like, Blacks, there was something that she said in the interview. It was about Black spaces. She said Black media outlets aren't really for Black people. And I agree with her and this is why at the end of the day, I say I'm for who is for me. That whole female empowerment shit is fake. That whole black safe space shit is fake. Because which type of community of black people are we representing? Which ones do you want to uplift and which ones do you not want to uplift? Because now there's clearly a divide and like who has more privilege and who doesn't. What, do you only want to represent the fucking negative stereotypes of black people or something? Which, listen, don't get me wrong, right? I get it. We're all different. We're all different. And that's fine. But to sit there and say that she doesn't represent because of that, it's a little crazy to me. What do you want her to represent? You want her to represent fucking the hood?
It's funny that you say that because I'm going to show you who the YouTuber is after. And you'd be surprised at the content they cover that it kind of reflects exactly the questions you're asking.
Right.
It'll answer your questions.
Right. But another thing is like, you know, she's so right. Black media outlets do not, you know, what did I say? They're not for black people.
Yeah.
Right. They're like and then she goes on to talk about the gossip and she goes on to talk about all this stuff. And then I agree. It's all a cash grab. It's all for the clicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's for. It's for money. Even the Black Lives Matter movement, it's for fucking money. And people are going to get mad at that, but it was for money. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of those donations did not even go back to the community. But y'all don't want to talk about that. Y'all just want to sit there and stay in your emotions and how, let's really talk about the facts. Like, Amanda probably does more than what the fuck you do for the fucking community. Whether you like her or not, you should at least be able to give props to where props is due, whether you like her or not. That's fucking crazy.
Big facts. Big facts. But yeah, I went to find her. I found that because of that strong statement. I thought it was a crazy statement. So I listened to the whole thing. And then that was pretty much her perspective overall. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, no, I don't agree at all.
So what kind of content does this person cover?
What is this, for the Patreon?
Maybe we can split this up, bitch. We can go to Patreon right now, bitch. Because this is one of those episodes I feel like it's going to get personal.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
What Amanda did was set the tone.
Oh my God. Even the way the fucking bitch start the fucking video, bro.
What she did was use the autism card, because see, the autism card, now that's gonna give you okay, let me give her a little, let me use kitten gloves when I speak about her, because she's on the spectrum. You know, we live in a day and age in 2024 where everybody want to be on some type of pills or diagnosed with something.
All right.
But that already sounds insensitive for someone that actually studied psychology and sociology. Why do you sound so insensitive?
That's true.
You sound very insensitive in regards to like, oh, nowadays everybody's sensitive. Nowadays everybody's sensitive. And Amanda speaks about this too. She says this too. She feels like nowadays you can't say anything and everyone's sensitive. So I feel like to some degree, they can probably understand each other when it comes to that. But for her to say that after she studies and this, that, and a third, I'm surprised that she's coming off so insensitive.
I don't want to hear nobody on here fucking with me talking about no Amanda Seales. Motherfuck Amanda Seales. And I said that with my chest. The bitch is a gaslighting ass, manipulating ass hoe. And I don't care how smart you think she is. If she was that goddamn smart and intelligent, the bitch wouldn't be on here gaslighting you fucking with us.
Yeah, well, she's going in, bro. I don't think I recorded where she said that she don't represent black people, but that was her stance. That was her stance on it. And you see how she's talking about her. So she really don't fuck with her.
Right.
Which is, you know, it's like, really, out of all people to not like.
So I'm going to briefly just skim through this. So I just think it's interesting going back to Shannon, right? And how he already kind of had his mind made up. Mm-hmm. You can tell that there were certain moments in the interview where he clearly wasn't listening, because at some point he was like, your mom's white. Like, said that with such confidence. Yeah. She's like, my mom's not white. She's black. She's Grenadian. Like, I don't understand. I said my aunt is married to a white man. Like, and he totally just got it so mixed up, was not listening, was not paying attention whatsoever. And I was just like, okay, all right. It's very quick to kind of come at her as if she's the combative one, yes. Which in this entire interview, she was not combative at all. She actually said, okay.
Yo.
And was quiet. And I was like, yup, good. Because he's already made up his mind that he does not want to listen to you and that he already has an image of you. And he was ready to get some stuff off his chest. Yeah, okay. That's what he gave. He wanted to get some stuff off his chest.
Can we play that moment real quick? That awkward moment between them? Bro, that shit had me cracking the fuck up.
Most adults, when kids correct them or speak, feel some type of way. This is not unique to a black, white, or white, black.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm sorry that you took it that way. But I remember when I was growing up, my grandparents and parents said, hey, kids, stay in your place. Adults are speaking. That's all. Maybe that didn't happen where you were from in Orlando, Florida. But where I grew up, when I grew up, kids did not correct adults. So I apologize if you thought it came off as combative.
No problem.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. So, and this is what I'm saying. It's like, okay, he was, you know what? I hate to say this, right? But I feel like clearly people that are stuck in thinking about things from one perspective act like that. Shannon Sharpe is exuding the same behavior that girl that has a degree in sociology and psychology is exuding. Like, oh, I wasn't raised like that. She don't represent real black people. What is a real black person?
We're talking about the YouTuber, by the way.
The YouTuber. Who are real black people? Right? So now it's just kind of like, okay.
There's that divide again that we keep seeing.
Right.
There's that divide.
Right.
There's always a divide.
Right. So at this point, I'm for who is for me.
Yeah, they said that she got canceled. And it was funny because she had gotten pushback for a tweet that she had made while
the
ago.
Passport tweet.
Yup.
Right.
And she mentions how that
Do
came
you
about.
have the tweet?
I don't. But basically she said that if you're spending money on Jordans and Nikes and you don't got a passport, that you're losing in life.
Agreed.
If you spending money on a Nike tracksuit, you're losing and don't have a passport.
But Kanye said the same thing. Where's the same energy for Kanye?
He said something worse.
He said a lot of stuff.
He said slavery was a choice.
Kanye, no, right. He said worse shit, but when we're just gonna stick to the materialism here, she's basically talking about if you value materialism over getting your life together, then yes, you are losing. And Kanye said the same thing too. But no one says anything about Kanye when that man is a fucking billionaire. No one says anything about him not being a good representation. No, and he's not a really good he's not a good representation. No one says anything.
Huge consumerism in his products is black people.
Right. No one says anything, but okay, we can proceed.
Yeah.
We can proceed.
So she got pushback, and I never understood that. I'm like, why? I mean, not for nothing. It's kind of true. I agree with her.
But when she told the story as to how the tweet came about, I felt that because I was like, that is a huge turnoff. Like, I'm trying to travel. You talk about, I don't need to travel my mind. That's nigga, who you talking to? It's not me.
First of all, I'm surprised Amanda is the type to be in the same bed with someone like that. Cause she's so,
because of her empathy. And that's her fucking problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Want to save people.
But right. It's like she wants it to save people that, I don't know. But even there was a part in the interview that goes back to her empathetic personality, which I feel like, okay, I get it. That's who you are. You can't change it. But it's like, no, you lose doing that to me, because I just haven't learned, okay? I haven't grew up in that sense, and I can admit that. But there was a part in the interview where she's saying, this is where we're talking about the insecure, her being on set and all of that stuff, all that good stuff. There was this guy by the name of Pete that was just talking shit about her on the internet, hopping on the bandwagon about how she's difficult, she's rude, she's this, she's that, right? But then on set, people were talking shit about him and how, he doesn't claim his kid, he doesn't show up as a father. And, but when he came on set, those same people that were talking shit and being fake were smiling in his face.
Right.
So Amanda didn't like that because, she likes to live in her truth and she's an honest human being. So she decided to tell Pete, hey, these people are talking about you, right? Mm-hmm. Even after he did what he did. I don't have time to play Jesus. No, I would have not fucking did that shit.
What did he do?
He talked shit about her online.
For the people that don't know. Oh.
Yeah, I thought I said that already.
Did you? Sorry. I must
Yeah,
have
I
missed it.
did. I was just like, during that time when they were going in about her being difficult and it was damaging her career, he hopped on the bandwagon online and was also talking shit in a video
Yes.
about her being difficult, about her being rude, about her being this, that, and a third, and, saying the same things that other people say.
Which is, she's right. It's damaging, right? Like we see what it is, and Hollywood is small. Right. And I call Hollywood because that's just production. I'm talking about like the creative space where you can actually make a career out of it. It's very small and people know each other. So it's the fact that people were coming at her and talking shit about her, well, and hopping on the bandwagon, and to know all that and still take that person's side and stand up and stand in your truth, even when it goes kind of like the people who are against you. I think it's honorable for Amanda, but it's also, like you said, like, that's how you get hurt.
You're shooting yourself in the foot. And yes, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could play Jesus, right? Because that right there is Jesus. That's what Jesus would do, right? That's what he did, right? He still saved the people that tortured him. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to mind my business, okay? Keep that fake shit over there. I'm going to be on mute. Zip it. The fuck? But, that's where we're different. Because if you talk shit about me, it's up. It's up for that.
Yeah, speaking of talking shit, right? She did that whole thing with, like, she got into that whole situation in SUNY Purchase, her dream school, which was very interesting. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Basically, she got into Purchase. Didn't she get in on a scholarship?
Yeah, I don't remember, but she got in. That was her dream school, and it was theaters, right? Theater stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then she got here, and it wasn't what she thought it would be.
Right. And then a situation had happened where, they always kick out students because they want to meet their quota. But the student had lied on her because I guess he wanted to get her kicked out. And said that she was wearing headphones while in class listening to music, which to me is such a bogus thing to say. But, back in the days, okay, you listen to music in class, that's like a big no-no, right?
Yeah,
it's a huge no-no, especially if she's older. It was. I don't know about now, because now it seems more lenient, but
yeah, for sure.
Technology in class, period, was just a big no-no.
Yeah.
Even for us growing up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I feel like for her, she's older, so was like a huge fucking no. You couldn't even wear your hat. You couldn't do none of that, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, the student had said that lie about her, and
she got kicked out.
She got kicked out for that. But it was the teacher, didn't ask her anything, didn't care, went above and beyond, got so mad, like, I can't believe you, Didn't really ask, like, hey, even though she said this is not true, she tried to appeal it, right? And that's when it went even further to the point where she had to literally get responses from 25 of the students, which to me felt stupid because she had to do all of that just for y'all to say, oh, well, we value the teacher over the students anyway. So then why did you have her waste her time doing that?
Right.
Because now it's giving sus. It's giving you had a problem with me already and you wanted me gone. And that was your ticket to get me out of there. That's what it's giving.
That story really reminded me of that time we were talking about when you went in school, you were trying to stand up for that whatever program you were trying to stand up for, and then people were like, and then no one showed up.
Yeah,
it literally reminded me of you because it was like, yo,
that's why I'm done. That's why I stopped doing shit. Like, no, for real. And I think that is that's the difference. She still is doing it.
She hoped, like she said, her big flaw is she still has hope for people,
and I don't. I only do for certain people, not for everybody. That is a privilege. I don't even know if that's a privilege. I feel like it's like trust. I don't trust people just because, no, respect and trust are two different things. Yes, everyone deserves respect, but like trust is earned. And the same way, with that hope in you, that's earned too. Because I'm not just going to have fucking hope in you just because you're another human being. There are terrible human beings in the world and I don't care. But that's what I'm saying. I don't have time to be Jesus. That's just not me. I wish I had those, admirable qualities, but I don't.
Yeah, Amanda tells all these stories where it just seems like, when you're listening to it, and again, it reminds me of just like how my journey with understanding you as well, because
Mhm.
you know, when I first met you, you would tell me these stories that would happen, and I'm like, there's gotta be like, you gotta
be the one
Yeah,
being the problem.
Hey,
right?
I'll be honest. I'm not a liar. Yeah, that was definitely my problem. I'm like, dude, there's no way that all this happens to you and uncalled for, right?
Right.
And I'm getting to know Tiana. So like obviously I don't know. And then Amanda talks about her friend.
Mm-hmm.
When at the when the whole Issa Rae party thing happened,
Mm-hmm.
after the whole situation happened, her friend looked at her and said, yo, this whole time I thought you was tripping. I thought it was you, but it's not.
Right.
And I think I had that same moment. I really could relate to that story because I remember very specifically, I don't remember the specific moment, like what actually happened, but I just know like I felt this at a moment where I'm like, damn, it really isn't you. It really isn't you. Like,
or maybe it is. People just don't like you.
Misunderstood. That's what it is. And I wanna ask your opinion on this. Not really ask your opinion, but there was somebody who, and Amanda mentioned it too, it's called neurodiversity. Neurodivergence is a concept originally attributed to the 1990s sociologist Judy Singer, a self-advocate with autism who challenged conventional ideas about what is considered normal and abnormal. It's a way to categorize normal and abnormal ways of people and like how they do it. Basically what Amanda was saying was that she's neurodivergent, meaning that the way people interpret the way her brain works is differently than what the normal,
right,
and it's just a way to not use normal. And
but
abnormal.
I guess that's what it is, like just a variety of different workings of the brain. That's literally what neurodivergence is.
Yeah, so I feel like when we talk about Amanda and like the experiences, I feel like my brain is kind of average compared to like we're average people, and then there's y'all. You know what I'm saying? I feel like y'all are just smarter.
Do I need
quicker.
to get my brain scanned? Like, this is crazy.
Like, no, for real, because I feel like I understand. Like, I feel like that's why I thought you were the problem. That's why people think Amanda's the problem, because the way you deliver, the way you interact in the world, I feel like it is a little bit different. It's too direct. Sometimes being direct isn't always good. Like, to me, sometimes being too direct can shoot yourself in the foot. Granted, if that's who you are, that's who you are. You know, I'm not telling you to be who you are, but you're going to have specific people who aren't going to tolerate that. And that's the thing, right? Being who you are comes with consequences. And that's all I say. Like, you know, and that's good to go back to that conversation. It's not like I didn't believe you. It's not like, it's just hard to understand your perspective when your perspective is so different compared to like the average human being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, my mom thought the same thing, but never thought to get my brain checked. So here we are.
Tiana's gonna make an appointment.
Here we are. I don't know. I don't know.
Amanda Seals got Tiana thinking she got something going on.
Because the way how I'm just never like everyone else is kind of questionable. Like,
Yep.
No one thought that was like, you know.
And being able to read early.
Yeah, that's another thing. I was reading it too. And like, I really thought like, you should be reading at 2. Like, what the?
Right.
You know, I would get mad. Like, why are you not reading yet? Like, what? I was reading at 2 because I didn't know. I ain't know.
And that's what
everybody's different.
Right. I'm
love thinking that that's normal. Like, I'm reading at 2. Why aren't you reading at 2? Why don't you know how to read? Like, what? Like, you know?
And it's so funny because even Shannon was like, bro, like, we're not all the same. You know that, right? Like, you expect people to be like you.
But then people expect us to be like you. So it's like,
right.
But this is the problem.
But most people are like us, not like y'all. You get what I'm saying? So it's like easier for
it's like a left-handed person and a right-handed person.
Right, there's less lefties.
So you think that there's something wrong with someone that's just different than you.
Yeah, and I feel like, which is why I appreciate Amanda being a representation of people like you. I have never in my life, prior to meeting you and seeing Amanda, like I've never seen someone in Hollywood represent that type of personality. And I mean that, you know, with respect, you know, because You guys are great people. I just feel like very misunderstood people. What other person you could relate to in Hollywood like that? Let's be honest.
I don't know.
Exactly. I feel like Amanda is a very particular person, and I just feel like there's not many women like her that can do what she's doing. And I love it. I love it. I love that what she represents, and I think it's great. And I think Hollywood needs to fucking have that type of person because they don't have that.
They don't want that type of person because you can't be manipulated and controlled.
Right, but then she's still here.
They don't want Cal Williams. They don't want Amanda Seals. Like,
she's still here though.
Is she? She said
Yeah.
that she doesn't want to do acting anymore.
No, but doesn't matter. She's still talked about.
Okay.
She's still respected. She's still in the limelight.
100%.
You know,
100%.
she's still here.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm talking about. Her presence is still known. We still see her, except she's doing her own thing now.
Yeah.
Which is the difference. That's why you don't see her on the shows, but you see her doing her own thing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I think that, Hollywood only has a particular type, which is why, whatever. But I love that what she represents, because at the end of the day, it's people like, there were so many women, especially women in the comments talking about, this is literally my experience. This is this. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy to see how many people have the exact experience too. It's like really cool. So it's like you're representing a particular type of person. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Okay, so I do want to move on into Amanda's experience with being on set for Insecure and this whole situation that happened with the Emmys party and Issa Rae's publicist, and even the issue between her and Issa Rae.
Yo, that shit was fucking... We've been knew about this, but...
Right.
But before we get into the tea, I just want to give y'all a moment, all right? Please. Go like, go subscribe, go share this video, go comment what you think about it so far. We're going to try a new thing. We're going to give y'all some time.
Right.
Play a little song.
Right.
So we're going to give y'all 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was really happy that Amanda finally got into the tea about everything that happened on set. Well, not everything, but like a lot of the stuff that had happened between her and Issa, because that was something that was always in the back of my mind. So if you guys don't know, Insecure, they won an Emmy, they had an Emmy party and all of that. The show.
Great show.
Right. Amazing show. If you watch the show, great show. So Amanda, was invited to this party by Jesse Williams. But when she gets there, she's being told that she cannot come in, which is weird. She's a part of the cast. She's a part of the show. So why is she being told that she cannot come in? So then, she goes in anyway, still being told, hey, you can't come in. She leaves. Someone else from the cast sees her. Where are you going? You're meant to be here. Goes in. Again, same shit happened. She leaves again. Then after that, someone else sees her. Hey, why? I'm going to speak to somebody. You deserve to be here. She goes in and now security comes. Security's like, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. She's like, why? And then, who's telling me that I have to leave? She tells the story that Vanessa, who is Issa Rae's publicist, is telling her to leave. Boom. After he goes back and asks like, oh, why? Trying to figure this out. Now, a bunch of security, which this part I didn't know. This part is where like a bunch of security comes, and now there's this other guy that's like, you need to get the fuck out now. You need to fucking leave. And now it's this whole hostile environment. Now you feel Amanda being her. She feels like she needs to protect herself. So she's like yelling. And now at some point, it's just this whole situation, and her friend comes out of the bathroom and her friend is like, what's going on? And that, whatever. She was escorted out. And I'm sure it was embarrassing for her, a woman of her stature, especially at the time when her face being on a billboard, literally down the block, that's embarrassing. Like, I still have to prove myself. I'm still not respected. I'm like, I've done so much work and now I'm getting kicked out of this party for what? So boom, that was the issue, right? She gets kicked out. She talked about it on her podcast. She talked about it on The Breakfast Club. There are a lot of videos of her talking about it. But that is the background of the story. So it turns out that Issa Rae's publicist, Vanessa, did not like her. I don't really know what the reason was, but it also seemed like she had some type of issues with the cast members too that were probably fake with her, the same way they were fake with that Pete guy. So With that being said, they tried to rectify the issue. Amanda tried to ask Issa what's going on. Issa immediately, that has nothing to do with me. That's between y'all. Completely dismisses it, which to me, I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's your publicist, though. So that is the person you work very close with. You telling me it has nothing to do with you? You telling me y'all don't talk about nothing behind Amanda's back? You telling me nothing is going on? That has nothing to do with you at all. You have no input. This is your show. You're in charge of the show. You're the boss of the show. You have nothing to say. So that, when I first heard about this incident, already raised a red flag. Like, Issa, that's a little fake. It's a little, the math ain't mathin'. But, as she goes on and she talks about how they had a conversation, I kind of was baffled, honestly, at just how dismissive Issa was.
Yeah.
At how she honestly didn't really care until Amanda started crying. So after the fact, Amanda had mentioned that she had called Issa. No, that Issa had called her after this whole incident and was like, hey, I just want to let you know it had nothing to do with me. Which to me is a little weird.
Yeah.
It's giving you want to save face or something, knowing that it had something to do with you, but you suck at confrontation, so you didn't want to confront her about it.
Right.
That's what it's giving. So that's one. Another thing is that, at some point when they do talk about it, Issa is asking Amanda if this is going to get in the way of the show. Still not really listening, business. Still not really caring. It's just kind of like you just care if your show is going to go on. But I'm like, you're asking Amanda, but your publicist was the one that was unprofessional. Right. So it's like, why are you asking Amanda if this is going to get in the way of the show when your publicist got her kicked out?
Went out her way to get her kicked out.
Went out her way in a professional setting to get her kicked out.
Right.
You should be asking your publicist
Agree.
if this is going to get in the way, because she started it, not Amanda.
Agree.
So it's giving that there is something behind the scenes, something being said that maybe Issa agrees with her publicist on certain things. Because when they went out to dinner, Amanda had invited her out to dinner. A conversation had come up and Amanda was like, I feel like you have something against me. Issa said, I feel like you have something against me. So where is that coming from if you had nothing to do with anything?
And maybe it can be the fact that Amanda has criticism towards the community and what the community does to conform for Hollywood. And maybe Issa feels a little bit attacked by her ideologies. I could see how someone who's like Issa, who wants, and Amanda gives her credit for it, because she's like, she wants to do bigger. She wants to do big things. And what she does is big things. She has a big production company. She does her own thing in the scene. When you're doing that, it's like a Kevin Hart, right? You are the representation of your business. You're the face. So it's like, you have to, there's at some point when you're close to someone and you're I feel like I can see the compromising situation here. Like, I fuck with you, Amanda, but are you judging me because I'm conforming? Yeah. And I know how you feel about shit like that. Even though,
I can see the conflicting energy with Issa for sure. Like, I do have a lot of respect for you, but sometimes I don't know. Are you judging me because of certain things? Are you looking at me a certain way? Which I can totally see that.
And if she's not confrontational, it's even hard to communicate that with someone like Amanda, because Amanda's hard to communicate with, period. Because you have to have all your P's and Q's together. Yeah. The minute you slip, I know. The minute you slip, it's like they pounce on you. So it's like, I can see where maybe like that energy comes from, like, and I can see how it can be conflicting, which goes back to what I say. You can be who you are, and that's beautiful, but you also got to understand being who you are has consequences. Everything has consequences. Being too nice has consequences. Yeah. Being too passive has consequences. Right. Being a bitch. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like everything you do in life has consequences, and I can see how that can get in the way. That's all. Yeah. But I empathize with Amanda a lot, because this just goes back to the same thing I've been saying. You're loud and outspoken about your beliefs. You don't know how that impacts other people because you're so loud and you're speaking and everyone can hear you.
Right.
And you don't know how they're receiving it.
Yeah.
It can come off as judgy from your end.
Yeah.
And they can feel like, especially if you're not secure as a person.
Yeah.
And you're tackling an insecurity, it can come off as, oh, you're judging me, so now I gotta stay away from you. You don't need to know my business. I don't fuck with you. And you're problematic, quote unquote problematic. I can see.
I feel like with Amanda, she feels like she needs to say everything, and sometimes she doesn't. That's it. Like how she says, she lives in her truth, right? I feel like that's something I had to learn, that there's time and place, right? I can't say everything, right? I had to learn that. But I feel like for her, she hasn't learned that. She still feels like I need to be in my truth no matter the time, the day, the hour. And honestly, sometimes not everybody deserves to hear your truth. Sometimes they're not even worth it.
And people like Amanda who are in their truth, which is, again, it's a beautiful thing. But sometimes people who are so in their truth, they're incapable of learning more. In a sense, I'm not talking about scholar learning.
Right.
I'm not talking about history.
Right.
I'm talking about maybe emotional growth, maybe
learning from other people.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other avenues of learning other than books and other than scholars. I'm talking about just hearing other people's perspectives and considering it. And I feel like people like Amanda, and again, I have no problem with who she is, but if she just seems a little stuck in her ways sometimes. And being that you're going to be stuck in your ways, you're only going to be palatable to specific people, especially if you're not teachable.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, just like, let's just say your grandpa who's a racist, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to be palatable to the people of modern day society, right? Because a lot of people,
your grandfather was a racist.
or your great grandpa, the old timers that's still here, you know what I'm saying? That's still in their ways. They stuck in their ways, and you may know your grandfather as the non-racist because you're not a victim of it, and you love him for who he is. That's a beautiful thing, right? Cool. But that don't mean he's palatable and digestible to anybody else. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's 100%. Living in his truth.
Yeah.
That's true. So it's just like, again, like there.
So, and one thing I did want to say is that at some point, Issa's publicist did call Amanda, and honestly, even her telling Shannon how this interaction over the phone went, I was so shocked. Like it was just like immediate, like, oh, I just want to let you know Issa had nothing to do with it. Again, that other weird
covering your ass bullshit.
Right, that weird. And she's her publicist. Like, of course she's gonna do that. That's her job. So the first thing she says is that, and then after that she said, well, it was my idea to get you kicked out because I don't like you. Boom, just like that. And then, Amanda's like, okay, well, there's nothing for us to talk about. You need to talk to your therapist. Hangs up the phone. That's it. Okay.
There's nothing else. What are you talking about?
Right.
That's literally
right. Because, like, what is there to talk about? You said what you said. That's it. It's done. So,
that shit killed me.
Boom. She calls back. The publicist calls back, and, she's like, don't you want to know why I don't like you? I'm sorry. I'm not begging nobody to know why nothing. Like, if I don't like you, I don't like you. So for her to be like, don't you want to know why I don't like you? Like, there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
So, of course, after that, they get off the phone, and then she just starts telling people that she's rude and she's this and she's that. And of course, it's damaging her career. Howard University rescinded their invite to her. They didn't want her to come speak at their school. And it's like really crazy because it's like she does do a lot in the Black space. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy how word of mouth from powerful people in powerful places works and goes and travels far. And then social media, then all these articles. So it's just damaging to the mental and to her career.
And this is where Shannon this is where I said, I told Tiana, I'm like, dude, I felt like I saw me and you in this exact conversation, because this is a conversation we've had literally verbatim, which was, I see things through Shannon's eyes in regards to life being a game, right? I did sports. I have that mindset. So to me, it's about understanding the game and understanding the rules. And when you understand the rules and you understand the players, that's how you win the game. That's how you come up. When you're disobeying the rules, you're going to lose. That's just what it is, right? That's the game. Because at the end of the day, right, like what the publicist wanted Amanda to do was play the game and all that shit and that would have been the right thing to do, was to listen to her, smile in her face. And because she didn't, she went on to damage and do all that, which I think is
Ego.
it's all that ego shit.
Yeah,
It's
ego.
all that ego shit. But then it's like also, Amanda,
She also has an ego too, no?
yeah. Whereas I'm saying, so it's like,
Right.
Amanda, you didn't have to do all that. But I get it. Because why are you going to be arguing with a bitch that don't like you?
Right.
So I get it. I don't know. And this which goes back to the same thing. I just feel like it's just a lot of
Ego, power trips.
misunderstood though.
Yeah.
Being misunderstood and being villainized for being you.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I also want to point out is that it was really interesting that when Amanda and Issa eventually did go to dinner, Issa had told her, well, I started looking at you like the character that you play on the show, which to me felt like a weird excuse. But at the same time, I can understand because the character that she wrote for her is how people see her in real life. That, oh, you think you're snobby, you think you're better than everybody, aka, blonde hair, light skin, like all of those attributes that people like that she had as her character on the show is literally how people describe her all the time.
Interesting.
The light skin, blonde hair, you think you know it all, you think you're better than everybody, you don't represent Black people. That's how she's portrayed on the show. That's how she literally is portrayed. That's how people see her all the time, especially other Black people in the real world. So to me, it kind of made sense why she said that. But then part of me is like, is that why you chose her for the role? But it is interesting that she said that. But
yeah, I thought that was weird.
I thought it was weird too.
How do you mix the
it's
two?
giving you suck at confrontation. Like you just can't be honest about how you really feel about her.
Yeah.
And it's giving fake. It's giving fake. How is it that, oh, I just want to let you know it had nothing to do with me. Oh, that's between y'all. That's your publicist.
Mm-hmm.
You really are the one producing this show.
Mm-hmm.
It's your show. So it is your responsibility to show up as the leader and handle this.
Mm-hmm.
That's your whole publicist. You know how much of a personal connection you have with your publicist?
Yeah.
So you telling me you didn't know anything? The publicist didn't confide in you about anything? You didn't say anything to your publicist? All of a sudden, oh yeah, it wasn't my intention. That wasn't my idea. It's you. You are the face. You have power over whether the publicist kicks her out or not. Why is your publicist having more power than you? Unless you told your publicist to do that. And you just don't want to say it. So that was my initial thought before she even went on Club Shay Shay. But, I don't know, it's giving a little weird. It's giving like, okay, maybe you are behind some stuff and you just don't want to admit it. You suck at confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Issa Rae. I really do. This doesn't take away my love for her.
Yeah,
but it's just definitely me calling it out. Like, that's a little fake. How is it that, you weren't there for her? It's giving you didn't fuck with her either. Because if you did, you would have stood up for her. It's your show. And you didn't. For sure.
Definitely. I'm sure if she really wanted to.
She could have.
Yeah.
You could have told your publicist to chill out.
Unless you thought Amanda was a part of the problem.
Exactly. Which is why I think she probably thought the same thing as her publicist.
Which, I mean, if someone if you got to put yourself in Issa's position in a sense of her personality, not even her business, but someone who doesn't like confrontation, if we're just assuming this, but it's just giving she doesn't like confrontation. She doesn't know how to be honest or direct the way Amanda needs her to be. I think that, that says a lot. You know what I'm saying? It would be hard to fucking, be honest and confront. So I guess I could see that being the way, I could see Issa moving that way. And seeing how Amanda could be the problem, because she's like, if I can just shut up and do it, why can't you?
Right, which is the energy that I feel like Issa had.
Right, which is a lot of people, a lot of the Black people who are in Hollywood that they say, well, they like to say, well, if I can do it, why can't you? You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm Black and I'm this and I can shut up and I can just do what I got to do to get there, why can't you? I mean, it's a valid question. It's a valid question, though. It's true. I mean, and this is what Amanda brings up, too. She and it's a great point. I thought it was a beautiful point. Beautifully said. She said that, when people of color make it to places, they like to use themselves as an example to wash away the fact that there are actual racism and things put in place to keep you away from succeeding
Yeah.
or to get to that opportunity,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought it was beautifully said because it's true. A lot of people, they'll say, if I did it, so can you. But not everybody is offered that opportunity the same way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and they like to pretend like these things don't exist and like the system is always in your favor when it's not. You know, at the end of the day, it's not.
I mean, you know, I think that overall the whole interview was like full of a lot of information.
Dude, we've been talking for mad long, and I think there's like just so much more.
There's so much more.
There's so much to digest in regards to this. I love Amanda's intellect. I love her insight on things. Her podcast is amazing. I think, you know, her perspective is important. And I really enjoyed it. And I genuinely think that you guys should definitely go listen to the podcast yourself. It's 3 hours fucking long, but let me tell you something.
It's a lot.
I enjoyed it. Every minute of it. I was laughing. I think Amanda is funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? She's strong and opinionated, but that's what makes her her.
Right.
You know, and she raised a good point. She's like, you know, when people are telling you you have to behave a certain way, and if that behavior isn't accepted in the community, she's like, she's not meant, her personality is not meant to be in like a lawyer or like, you know, a teacher. She's meant to be in a creative space, right? And she describes that. She's like, how is it that the place where I know I'm meant to be is telling me in order to be here, you have to be a certain type of person? That's compromising to who she is, right? So I think she represents that, you know, that always fighting for your spot, the misunderstood woman in Hollywood that I feel like deserves her flowers.
I agree.
And I'm happy that she was on Club Shay Shay.
Yeah. One of the things that she also said too that was interesting to me is that she said that on the set of Insecure, she had went out of her way to buy gifts. She had went out of her way to invite, you know, certain cast members to retreats. She was really going out of her way to make people feel comfortable and to be liked. And I was just like, they rejected it, they denied her, or they would take the gift and it would just be like a thanks, or they would not show up to like, if she had like game nights or something. I'm just like, why are you still going all your way?
Yeah.
And this goes back to, I guess, that empathy of hers, which I feel like you can be an empathetic person, but like, don't make the same mistake twice.
And
or 3 times.
That's the thing with empathy, though, that it's unbiased, right? So it's like you're gonna feel that no matter how many times.
I don't know. I feel like you can be an empathetic person, but draw the line.
I think that's a skill learned.
Well, I think I can do that. So it's like, why can't you? But I guess that's my problem, right? You don't think I can do that?
I don't think you can do that.
You don't think?
I don't know. I think you gotta learn empathy and grace.
I think I'm an empathetic person. And the sense of I can feel what other people are feeling. Not in the sense of, oh, I want to save you, or I feel so bad that I want to take care of you now. Like, not in that sense.
Can you really understand what people are feeling when you're telling them, well, if I can do it, and why can't you? Can you really?
Well, no, but I can feel. That's what I thought. I can feel.
No. She was scratching the board like, it's a good question. Do you think, Amanda?
I can feel what other people are feeling. Not in the sense of like, I don't know. I can feel what other people are feeling.
I think you can see it after a while, but I think empathy, it's more than just understanding it. Or look, see that right there. I feel like that's it right there. The lack of understanding.
I feel people though. I don't understand people all the time, but I feel people.
I don't know, girl. I think no, but question. Do you think Amanda needs to learn forgiveness?
I think she's already learned that.
Has she?
If she's fucking looking out for Pete that talks shit about her, obviously she clearly learned some type of forgiveness as an empathetic person, according to your definition.
Do you think that by her bringing up these stories and constantly talking about it. Let's use the example as the Issa Rae story about what Issa did to her. Do you think that, I don't know if she forgave her or not. I just know this is a question that I guess I kind of thought about. But do you think that when there's forgiveness involved, you kind of stop talking about it, or you talk about it differently? Do you think that when she talks about it, there's still some resentment there?
No, I don't think that there's any resentment. I think she just states the fact that, yeah, I didn't feel protected by Issa, and that's that. But like, yeah, sure, we moved on from it. It is what it is.
Right.
I don't think she lingers on it anymore, or she has resentment. I don't think so. If anything, she's better than me. Like, she'll still say that, you know, I have love for, like, when I did the show.
Yeah.
I have a lot of cast members that treated me with love and blah, blah, blah. Me, I'll be like, it's up for y'all. Up for y'all. But, you know, different strokes for different folks. So, yeah, I mean, I think that she's forgiven it. I don't think she has resentment, but I think she is honest and lives in her truth. So she's going to say, this is the fact.
Right.
She did not protect me. That's what happened. But am I still holding it against her? No, but this is what she did.
Got it.
Since we're talking about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I really don't have anything else to say. I guess one question I have for you, like, what matters more, the tone or the truth?
What matters more, the tone or the truth?
Yup.
I think the tone.
Of course you do.
Because the truth is going to be told no matter what the tone is. So I think the tone makes the delivery more digestible.
Okay. Even though you're still going to be mad at the truth, whether the tone is, that's the thing. If the tone is nice, you're still going to be mad about the truth.
Yeah, but if the tone is nice, there's a chance and possibility that you're going to grab somebody's attention and teach them something, as opposed to having a bad tone. They're just going to get defensive. It's not about you and the truth. But sometimes
when the tone is nice, people still get defensive. So then what? What's worse, the tone or the truth?
The tone. The truth is always ugly.
Okay.
Whether you present it nice or not. But at least if you present it nicer, it's a little bit more digestible. Whether they're defensive or not, it's just digestible a little bit better. That's all.
Okay. And people care more about the tone than the truth, she said, which is very true. So
it is
interesting. I ask you, and you know, yeah, that's your answer.
I didn't even know she said.
She said that, and it's so true, because you know that's always the thing that you hear,
and that's
you don't sound like someone who's like, oh baby, eat for me, eat for me, eat for me. When you don't fucking sound like that, like a soft, you know, damsel in distress.
Mm-hmm.
People also don't really care to be nicer to you, or don't really care to check in on you, or don't really care to, I don't know, take initiative for you, because they feel like, oh, you can do it. You're good on your own. And yeah, also you're a bitch. So good luck. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, I represent like a good amount of people, I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
Which is why
you represent the majority.
This is why the conversation is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, again, that's just what it is. And in order for you to interact in that world, or Amanda to interact in a world where y'all need the information, y'all need directness. And even when me as the normie tries to be direct, it's still sometimes never as direct as you need it to be.
Because you be saying half-ass shit. I need to know exactly what it is. Like, for example, right? With the bandana. I asked you, hey, how does it look? You're like, it's nice. The tone already sounds like you don't really like how it looks, right? Now I ask for the truth, right? Well, how do you really think? Oh, you're mad? You don't want to talk about this?
No, I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Oh, I'm just saying.
No.
Then after when you looked, and then you actually, you know.
No, I'm saying, go ahead. Tell them the rest.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, you're overthinking. This is the problem.
Okay.
Right here.
So then after that, she's like, oh, maybe try to make the bandana skinnier. So I did that. And she was like, oh, no, that doesn't look good. So she's like, oh, from the back. So it was like, okay, I did from the back. And then we got where we got, and it's cute. So I was like, okay, this works. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate the feedback. And she felt that I was being weird, but it's like I wanted her to say more feedback, but she didn't want to. I guess that's the normie in you.
No.
Y'all don't want to be
That's the problem.
honest.
You see how you narrate that? You're saying I didn't want to. As if I intentionally chose to withhold information from you because I wasn't trying to tell you more. It's not that I didn't want to. I just didn't pay attention long enough to give you better advice. And that's the problem. It's the way you frame the narrative, right? And that's always my issue. And this is what I was going to say. People like you and Amanda are overthinkers. So you expect everyone else to compensate for that. And I feel like sometimes it is, not sometimes, it is actually your responsibility to understand yourself as an overthinker and understand that people are not here to cater to your...
Yeah, but it's not about catering. It's about the fact that I just simply asked a simple question about the bandana.
But it wasn't good enough.
No, your answer... It was, you can tell in the tone that you didn't like how it looked. Now, of course, I'm going to be like, okay, it doesn't look cute. Tell me what I can do. And you didn't want to do that until I pushed back and kept saying something. If I didn't say anything, you would not have told me all of these other options. You would not. Because as a normal person, you're just going to say the normal thing like, oh, it's nice, and go about your day. Right? You're not going to really dive deep into how you really feel. And that's the problem.
No.
That's the problem.
Okay. It's easy to say that that's the problem when I'm your girlfriend.
It's not the problem,
no,
but I'm just saying that is something that for me was just like...
But you put that responsibility on me, right? Which is...
Even with my friends too, though.
But I understand me as a girlfriend, that's one thing. Friends, maybe, but strangers and everyone, I feel like that mindset...
Well, obviously, I'm not going to ask a stranger how the bandana looks. You know me.
Hold on. Obviously not, but what I'm saying is that mindset, that mindset goes throughout life. You always do it, right? And I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna use Amanda because we're talking about Amanda here. Amanda puts that responsibility on other people. For example, there were moments where where she talks about how she's misunderstood and like people move in a certain way and they don't realize the impact it has on her, and they don't realize that. It actually, her rage and her anger and her outspokenness is actually her way of showing hurt and pain, and that she was, betrayed, and all that stuff. And I feel like because you put out this strong, outspoken personality, the consequences of it is that people tend to treat you harder, right? That's just the consequence of that. But then when people treat you soft or people, for example, there was moments where Shannon had responded to her trying to understand, and I can again empathize with him because I can see him stumbling on his words, and Amanda kind of like pounced on him. And I just feel like it just comes from like all that to say, it just comes from the fact that like Amanda, you guys, I feel like are overthinkers and expect us to understand that. And I feel like when people don't overthink like that and people don't communicate like that, we're not going to think to cater to that. And I feel like this is why this conversation and her having that conversation is important.
Okay, what are you saying? I think I'm losing you.
I don't know. I think I lost myself too.
Yeah, because I don't understand what you're saying.
I lost myself.
How does that relate to how I was acting with the bandana?
We're talking about that damn bandana.
I thought you were relating that to the bandana.
Fuck that bandana, bro. Because that was a stupid ass example.
All right, so overall, those were our thoughts about the entire interview. If you guys seen it, then you know exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't seen it, we suggest that you do watch it. It is 3 hours. But yeah, this was just us talking about it. Sorry if we were like all over the place, but yes, hopefully it was digestible enough for you guys. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you've seen it, what are your thoughts on her? On what she had to say, her perspective on how Shannon handled it. I know he got a lot of backlash for the way he handled it. A lot of people said that he wasn't capable, he couldn't handle her.
Do you think she's actually on a spectrum? Like, you know, for those people that actually know about, the spectrum and stuff like that, do you actually think that she could be on the spectrum? Like, what are your thoughts?
Do you think like the YouTuber? Do you not like her at all? Like, just curious to know your thoughts. So definitely leave your comments below. Hit the like button, please. It helps out a lot. And don't forget, we actually have a audio version on Spotify, iTunes,
Yep.
iHeartRadio.
We're on all podcast platforms. So sorry. Feel free to write a review on Apple Podcasts as well as rate. Spotify, you can rate as well. We're on all podcast platforms, wherever you get your podcast from. We release episodes every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And if you're watching us, you can watch us on YouTube, just the Petty Headquarters. And yeah, I mean, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram. That's JESSI.strange. And where can they find you, Tiana?
You guys can find me on Instagram at randommania1. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Okay. This was your weekly dose of mess.